Let's face it, as Nintendo fans, we are often left slightly disappointed and scratching our heads asking why. Where is our Super Mario Galaxy 3? Why isn't Metroid out yet? Bring back the Ice Climber seriously, and what were you thinking of the Virtual Boy? Well, sit back as Sean Capri and Bobby Pauls do just that. That's right, this is If We Ran Nintendo. Now, cue the music, maestro.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, and I am joined by my good friend Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. What is up, Sean?
Hi, Bobby. It's good to see you, buddy. We're more than friends now. By now,
yeah.
Can we say that we're more than friends?
Let's keep it. Let's keep it in the friend zone for now, because I don't think our wives would be too appreciative if we get to another level. I'm not looking to get divorced at my age. It'd be a hard pill to swallow. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna kick it off, and I got to tell you, starting off Jump Street, the nerves are much higher than any other podcast I did. Like when I did episode 1 of the Geekcast and episode 1 of the Ink Strike, I was like, I got this, whatever. I had ego. This one just feels a little different. Like this one just, all day I've been like, I think because the anticipation, I just been
excited.
Like really, yeah, I just been really nervous because we got some very good feedback, a lot of good people. I want to, before we start the episode, I kind of want to give 3 quick shout outs and thank yous. So the first one was from Gary Gray in the Nintendo Guru / Geek Guru Facebook group.
What's up, Gary?
The next one was from James Carty Jr.
James,
which is a Facebook friend of mine who shared our news and all that stuff about this podcast. And then the other one was another one named Jonathan Marvin, who I posted in a Facebook group about podcasts. All 3 of these gentlemen were very nice, had very kind words to say about it. Like, like I'm looking forward to this. Some of them were like, this just is a cool idea and I can't wait to hear it. So thank you. Like, because going into this, like, I'll be honest with you, like, I think both Sean and I both were like, this is a good idea. It's a good idea. But I think we were still trying to convince ourselves as well that like people would want to hear this and all that. So that means a lot that people do and have jumped on. And especially like episode 0, like Mason from Amigos, he was contacting me. He was like, when is episode 1 hit? I can't wait for it. And so just stuff like that. Like, thank you all for being supportive. And I will shut up now, and we're going to kick it off, and we're going to get into what you want to know. And if we ran Nintendo, how would we run Nintendo? So I have a topic, and Sean has a topic that we're bringing to the table. I was looking at the topics before we started the show, before we even got on this call. I feel like my topic leads into your topic.
Yep, it totally does.
Okay, so we'll go with my topic first.
Yep.
And then we'll go with your topic second. So mine basically is, and we'll kick it off, is if we ran Nintendo, how would you stop the leaks? Also, would you respond to the leaks or just ignore them? So, do you have an idea? Or do you want me to go first? How you want to handle this?
So I want to make sure we're talking about the NX leaks.
I'm talking about. Yeah. I want to say.
Or are you opening up to even more? Oh,
pretty much because here's my thinking. We'll go with this. We'll start off with this. My initial thoughts are like, because right now it's like a sinking ship. Right now, Nintendo's got leaks coming all over the place. A lot of it has to do with the NX. It's moved into NX games. Last E3,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like last E3, it was games that they were like people were leaking what Nintendo was going to talk about just before the E3. Like the last Direct leaks, the Pokemon Direct leaks. Like my question is,
I see,
and I feel like there's a twofold here. There's an overall, and then there's the NX, and I think that's where I want to get into.
Sure.
I wanted to, obviously the hot topic right now is NX, but the leaks overall seem to be an issue. And it's not just Nintendo that has this issue. Okay, let's preference.
Clearly not.
But it seems that Nintendo just seems to be the one that gets hit all the time anymore. So let's start with the first question. How would you go about stopping the leaks?
Okay, so that's actually jumping the question. Is it how? That's assuming that the leaks are bad. So yes. I think that there's a thing that we need to discuss first is, are leaks bad? And I think the ones that you named that I totally forgot about, which was the Pokemon leak and all these leaks that happened the day or two before the Nintendo Directs, those are horrible. Those ones, I think, without question, you have to that's the whole point of having a Nintendo Direct, is to keep the whole message nice and clean and tight and controlled. And so this leak thing is horrible.
Okay, so let's do it this way then. We'll do it like this. We'll do the NX as its own separate entity, and then we'll do games and directs and all that stuff. So for me, if it's me, I send an email throughout the company, and I address the entire company. It will not be tolerated. You will be fired immediately, because I feel like you're saying, it steals the thunder of what you're trying to do. And it's not bad in the terms of like it's false information they're giving, but it's, you have a thing that you got your fans that get excited for it, and you're trying to do. And I feel like especially during E3, it's an issue because we've left the stage. We no longer have a stage presence. We no longer have this, thing where we go out and we talk and we discuss in front of the public. The only thing we have is our Nintendo Directs. So I feel like that's the first step, is you need to, and I would follow through with it. Somebody has to get fired. You can't tell me at this juncture in the game they don't know who's doing the leaks, unless that's their plan and they want to leak it. But I think that that's just a debacle waiting to happen when you allow these leaks to come out.
Let's think about the way that when the leaks have happened. So when we found out that Pokemon was the next games were going to be called Sun and Moon, that moment that leak came out, people were pumped. They were so excited that this was happening. And the next day, I think it was, we actually got the official word, and the excitement was nowhere near that. And so you have like this tempered expression from the entire gaming community directly linked to your announcement as Nintendo. Instead, some idiot who leaked this information out nobody even knows who that was. So what is the point of even having these leaks go out for? I mean, if you're the one leaking it, like, I don't really understand. You're just being a dick.
That part I'm not sure. What benefit does it come from the person leaking the information? It's not like you're being paid. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Like, when you're giving Liam Robertson or Emily Roberts information, they're not paying you for this information. You're wholeheartedly just giving it up. And I don't necessarily blame them, because you're a news reporter. You're supposed to report the news. It's part of the game, I think, at that point. I don't know how much I would leak if I was in their shoes, but that's not me judging them. That's just me just saying, like, I don't know how much because, like, I've had information given to me prior to things being announced, and I don't want to get people in trouble, so I'm not going to name names or anything like that. But, like, I have relationships with certain developers, and I was told specifically, like, what things would come out and when it would come out, and I just kept my mouth shut because I didn't feel like it's not my place to say anything.
But the whole idea of it is like ruining Christmas. It's like when you find your presents like a week before Christmas happens, and then like Christmas is ruined. So the whole idea,
because that's what I feel like. I feel like, and I've said this numerous times in the Nintendo voice chat, is I'm not excited for the Nintendo Direct. I'm excited for the day before the Nintendo Direct. Because that's when we're going to find out. That's when the leaks are going to hit, and that's where we're going to get everything. And it's like,
oh, you're jaded.
I know. I'm a jerk. But I, in thinking as we're going through this, I think what I would do if I'm Nintendo, obviously, one, you want to try to figure out who's doing it, and you want to reprimand them if you can. But aside from that, I think I would push a little bit. I think I would give false leaks or legitimate leaks, but
like for information that doesn't matter.
Yes, just little stupid information. Like if you're going to, like, I feel like if you're going to release the name of Pokemon Sun and Gold or Sun and Moon, then come with something good. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know that, like, okay, this is going to get leaked, but let's give these people something good. Like, okay, Ryu and Roy got leaked before the Sakurai Direct, before the E3 event last year. Mm-hmm. That's all well and good, and okay, fine, but they should have had something in their back pocket to be like, oh, what about this too? Because I feel like that's what's lacking. Is I feel like sometimes too, like the leaked information isn't this overpoweringly awesome stuff. Like, yes, it was awesome to have Ryu in Smash, but it wasn't like something that I walked away like, holy cow, this is the greatest thing, since sliced bread. It was just like, okay, that's cool.
But it gets a reaction. And with those announcements, that was the news. And that's why it's disappointing, is because people see those leaks and they think, what else do they have? Yeah. And then you realize, oh, that was the main event. Yeah. And so I think that, and the other part of this too that we're sort of assuming is that there's like this controlled way of leaking this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's stuff that is getting out by accident for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure that there's really, I guess the question is, do you just roll with it? Do you just,
well, I feel like this
is it a cost of doing business?
So let's move it to the NX real quick.
Sure.
So when you have Emily Roberts coming out and saying that somebody told me this, that to me tells me that somebody in my company needs to go. That they don't understand what we're trying to accomplish here. Mm-hmm. And they're now again.
See, I look at it totally different. I see it. Okay. I for some reason this might be backwards for some people. But for me, like the Nintendo Direct leaks, so anything that or even like the Pokemon announcement leak, those are ridiculous. Those are huge, and they're not necessary. Yeah. These NX leaks that are happening and the rumors that are starting are actually positive for Nintendo. There's a lot of optimism and there's a lot of positive energy around the NX, regardless of. Well, I guess maybe the controller was kind of a weird, but not
positive. Real. They're only positive if they're good, if they're real.
Somebody once said there's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah, but is it really? Because
I don't know. They haven't said anything yet.
They haven't said anything.
That's better. Remember where we were before the Wii U came out? They said something, and we're still asking questions. That's a bad place to be in. Right now, we're asking all the same questions we were about the Wii U, but we were doing that with the Wii U after they made the announcement. And that's definitely a horrible place. So for the NX, this is good for Nintendo with all these rumors and the speculation, all the conversation. The stuff we're doing right now is good because Nintendo can sit back and listen to our podcast. What's up, Reggie? And they can listen to what do people want to know? What are the top 5 topics that people are talking about? What are the specs? What do the controllers look like? What are they doing with the third parties? What's backwards compatibility in the eShop look like? Like, what is it, a hybrid device?
And that, as you're saying it, I have it written down right here. I wouldn't, and what I said is I wouldn't stop the leaks. I would be taking notes. I would be taking notes.
Totally.
Because when you do present, you have a list of all the major questions. You can look at it and analyze it and go, this is trending, this is hot, this is boom. Mm-hmm. These are the things that people really want to know about, and this is what we're going to walk out the door and go, boom, here you go. Here it is right there, right then and there. And that's why I've always said that I feel like, and I'm getting a little off, but I feel like they need to do 2-part, and I think they need to hit us early with the NX. This is what it is. This is what it does. Boom, 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 boom. E3, here's your games. Go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then E3 should be the launch date and the name of the console and all that stuff. Save E3 for the fun. You know what I mean? They should, but that's either here or there. So,
like, what if the controller that we saw, that fake controller, what if there was once a prototype that looked like that? Like, what if there was a version of that and then they were able to see, I don't know how far along we are, so I'm not getting into the details of like manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But like, what if they were able to see like almost like a test reaction from people to say like, I don't want that. The interrupt erupted and we all told whoever that we don't want anything like that. And I wonder like if that plays a part in how all this stuff rolls out. I don't know to what degree.
Or Nintendo that's the thing.
Might be giving a little too much credit there.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Nintendo, and that's what I love about them. And I get into this argument all the time with Alan, because he's like, they need to tell us now. It needs to come out now. And I'm like, look, that's not the Nintendo I want. I want the Nintendo that beats their own drum, puffs their chest out, and goes, this is what we're doing. This is when we're doing it. And you're not going to tell us what to do. Yep. You may want it, that at the end of the day, like, my favorite Nintendo was the NES, Super Nintendo. The ones that were just like, we're the big dogs.
There's nothing else.
And they're playing offense. They're not playing defense. Because when they play defense, their message is a wreck, and they're horrible. When they're playing offense, we're getting all the best games. Everything's clicking on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like they need to bring to the table, is that bravado and that swagger, and it needs to come back, and they just need to be like, this is what we're doing. And especially now, like, right now is a time where they come out and they go, this is what we're doing, boom, and take notes off the leaks, and take notes of the Sony leaks, and the despise and the disdain right now, and come out them doors and pull a Sony on them, just like they did the Microsoft at E3 a couple years ago, and go, this is what we're doing. Boom, 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 boom. And by the way, we're not going to, the system you buy now, we're not going to throw an NX 1 point or an NX 2.5 or whatever next year, or something like that. Like, hit them where it hurts, and come out and show everybody, like, we're here to play. We're here to play ball. We're serious. That's what I think they need to do. But I think ultimately, like, where we're at is with the leaks we don't feel like they're ultimately too bad. Like, yeah, again, it's two different beasts. You know what I mean? You got, like we said, the directs and the video game announcements and things like that. Like, you don't want that stuff spoiled, because you want that excitement and all that hype. You don't want it to be, because ultimately this is what happens at the direct. The day before the direct, everybody's exploding, everybody's blowing up, the Twitter's going nuts. And then the day the direct happens, it's thud. And people are now, why are they doing this? This is stupid. Blah, blah, blah. And it's,
right. It's like you guys, 24 hours ago, we were totally pumped about this. Yeah. And it kind of speaks to what we were saying right at the start, is that what we're hearing about the NX it isn't the meat and potatoes of the announcements. These are little pieces. We're eventually going to get something massive from Nintendo. And I would say that I think we're both on the same page with this. They need to stick to the plan. It is unfortunate that as of right now, they haven't said anything, only for the fact that Sony's making some questionable, I guess, moves, or even there's some questionable stuff going on with the PS4.5. So it would be nice if Nintendo had already announced the NX and kind of let us know a little bit about it, so that they could be hammering on the point today, for example, with something about the Nintendo NX that is phenomenal, that totally distracts from all this other stuff that's happening. But since they haven't, today isn't the right day to announce the NX. I would say that continue with the plan. Yeah. But if they let the cat out of the bag at this point, they would have plenty of opportunity to jump all over and react. But an announcement is not a reaction I'm looking for. But
okay, so what you're saying is so ultimately,
let's say they announced it like a month ago.
Yeah.
Today would be a great day to go, oh, by the way, here's something cool about the NX.
Yeah.
Kind of the way that, like you mentioned with Sony and Microsoft, like just kind of, puffing out their chest a little bit, saying great things about whatever the NX is going to be. Yeah. But given that they haven't announced it yet, given we don't know what the NX is going to be, I would say that if it would look bad on Nintendo, and I think they would muddle the message if they were to rush something out at this point.
Yeah.
But if they're already in go mode,
I think ultimately their idea has been and is to be that, like, after this next investors meeting, they're going to make an announcement.
That's in like 2 weeks. When is it? 10 days, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. It's like 10. The end of the quarter is coming rapidly.
Oh my God! So could we be within 2 weeks of learning about this thing?
We could be.
I get chills just thinking about that.
Yeah. So I think with me, I've ultimately always been pointing at this date, and I've always been saying, like, April, May, spring, that we're going to get an announcement, It's going to tell us what the NX is, and then we're going to roll into E3, and they're going to hit us with games. And that's because that's what I would do. Again, if I ran Nintendo, that's my answer to this. This is what I do. You know what I mean? But so the answer to the question is, though, is would you respond to the leaks? No, I wouldn't. At this point right now, I don't respond to the leaks. I just let them keep going.
Yeah,
I'm taking notes, compiling my questions that are coming from the people, because this is what we're going to hit them with. This is what we're going to tell them on our first announcement, because they want to know what's the system running, what's the specs, all that stuff. Does it have a disk drive? Is it a flash drive? Is it, does it have an optical drive? Like, what does it have? All that stuff. Like, what's the controller? Is it a portable? Is it a hybrid? Hit them with all that stuff, then come with the big stuff. So I think, though, I don't answer the leaks. I just keep going. And then after my initial announcement, I would almost utilize my social media to be like, once a week, we're going to throw a little tidbit out there about the NX.
Yeah.
Make our own leaks, per se. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately go, hey, fun fact number 5 about the NX. Like, here you go. This, you can take it on the road with you and do this and that and all that other stuff. Like, get people to know by the time they talk about it at E3 or they discuss any of it at E3, people aren't asking questions at the end of the event. They're like, holy crap, we know exactly what this thing is. And, I mean, that's why you have social media outlets.
Yep.
Utilize them. You know what I mean? Like, don't let people – and if you sit there – and this is what I would do is if I sit there and I see, like, a bunch of people talking about different things, leaks per se or any of that stuff, if I saw that stuff, I would answer it that week and just be like, this person – I would call them right out. This person's wrong. That's not what we're doing. We're doing this. Or, hey, you know what? You got it right. Good job. Ultimately, because I would want to keep feeding and supplying and building the hype up till E3, and just keep pushing, because you have one opportunity to announce a console. You got one opportunity to do it right. You don't want the leaks to steal your thunder, but at the same time, you don't want to back away from them and run from them after you've made your initial announcement.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're at. So are you good with all that? Or are you?
I'm good. I'm wondering if we should have a topic where we plan out the launch of the NX.
Well, we could, but that's another show, Sean.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe for another show.
Topics. The people don't want to hear about this stuff. Come on. No, I agree. Maybe next week that's what we do. Maybe next week we go in and we discuss the NX.
Yeah, the rollout plan. And all Let's launch it.
Yeah, and we can do that ourselves. Okay, so that's what we'll do next week. Next week we'll launch the NX. This week we'll concentrate on the next topic. So I'll let you read your next topic. Go ahead.
All right, so the next topic is about again, about the NX and bringing forward games from the Wii U. So there's a lot of talk going about, is this thing going to be backwards compatible? Should we have Wii U games on the NX? And the question for me is, if we're going to go ahead and do that, how the heck do we handle this gamepad? So my question to you is, first, let's start with, there's a couple things that we need to break down here. But the first thing is, in your mind, is it a no-brainer to bring forward Wii U games to the NX and make it somewhat backwards compatible? Or do you have special versions of these games to play on the NX? Or do you just walk away from the Wii U altogether?
No. Because look, anybody that owns a Wii U and is honest with themselves knows that the best games this generation is on the Wii U. You look at the Metacritic reviews, Nintendo knocked it out the park game after game after game after game. The sad thing is that only, 20 million units were sold? Not even that. I don't even think it was that. I think it was 11 or 12 million units.
13 tops.
Yeah, so nobody really played those games. And that's a crime, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, when you take the Mario Kart 8s, the Splatoons, the 3D World, Tropical
Pikmin 3.
Pikmin 3. All these top
Star Fox.
Games. Yeah.
Maybe Star Fox.
Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe. Because we don't know yet. We'll find out Friday. Maybe. Well, maybe. But you look at all these top games that have, and sadly nobody played them. Now, I look at it in this reference. Mm-hmm. Sony with the PS3 sold a lot of units. I don't know what the exact number was when it was done. I think it was 60 million, maybe.
That was higher than that.
I think it was, because didn't they actually eclipse the Wii U at one point, or did they never catch the Wii U?
No, they didn't. They didn't catch the Wii U, but they actually overtook Xbox 360.
Okay,
so I want to say over 80 million.
Yeah, because
somebody will correct us on that later.
Yeah, somebody will correct us on that later. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know the Wii was about 120 million units, and those guys were getting close when it by the time push came to shove. Now, regardless, we don't care what the numbers are exactly, but let's just say they put out 50 million units. Okay, nice round number, easy number. As well as that console sold,
I see where you're going with this.
They still put Last of Us on the PS4. So if you put one of the best games on the PS3 immediately on the PS4, that tells me that you looked at it as, this is a game that we don't believe a lot of people played, and we need to get it in people's hands. It's the same philosophy. You know, if you look at, you want to keep, I've been chiming on this for weeks and months on the Ink Strike podcast, and that was basically Splatoon or a Splatoon 2 needs to hit at the launch of the NX. There's no way a Splatoon 2 comes that quick because they're not ready for it yet. So I've been saying all along is, hey, you give a remastered Splatoon, you throw some extra weapons in there, you throw some extra maps in there, and you say go.
Yeah.
And make it so it's all running on the same servers, and people can still play with each other, whether it's on the NX or the Wii U, and just go. Because I feel like you give people that game, and it's a solid game, and they get the feel for that game, and it's like, holy cow, this is awesome. Mario Maker has to be there. You cannot take that game alone. It's insane to think that you leave that behind. Because ultimately, I feel like you can't touch a 2D Mario for a very long time. Because ultimately, the fans are going to reject it because, I mean, they won't.
Do you think that they're that similar? Like, I get that they're both 2D games and you're going back to the old formulas. Do you think that Mario Maker really prevents them from having like a brand new 2D, maybe it's not even like a new Super Mario Brothers?
They need to change it up big time. They need to change. It can't look anything like the games that are on that Mario Maker game.
See, after spending so much time with Mario Maker and just the direction that people are taking this platform in, I feel like that makes it all the more reason that we need like a Nintendo, because it's turning into something absolutely crazy and insane. And the other part too is that they're still just levels. They're not a
well. And that's where that's where I feel like they need to go. Hey, here you go, Mario Maker NX. Yep. You can actually create your own worlds now. So this way, someone doesn't go like hard level, crazy level, hard level, crazy level. They can go.
So that's why I've been keeping quiet this whole time, because I don't know if the move is necessary. And the question specifically is to just make it backwards compatible and make sure that these games are playable on the NX. And I think that what the solution actually will be is closer to the Last of Us remastered comparison that you just made, where it's a new version of the game. This is going to run a little bit differently. There's going to be a little bit of enhancements, and that'll get us around the gamepad possibly, but I honestly don't know how you do Mario Maker without a gamepad. Well, the reason I'm stuck on this gamepad thing is because people look at this thing, now us not included, present company excluded, I look at the gamepad and I think nothing of it. I think this thing is great. I never felt like Nintendo needed to outwardly justify its existence, which is really what kind of plagued the launch, where everybody's waiting for this next game to go, why does this thing exist? Where you just go, this is just a controller. It's fine. Yeah. So, but the gamepad itself is almost like this symbol of the Wii U, and how there's so much disdain around the Wii U outside of the Wii U community. So I'm not sure if Nintendo wants to bring that forward to the NX. Like, that's what I'm really stuck on. Do you want to bring the most visual and the most tangible part of the Wii U forward to your new console and have people look at it and go, oh yeah, that thing? Or do you get the hell away from the gamepad?
You can do this a couple of ways. This is my feeling. One, you make it so the gamepad can sync up with the NX.
Yeah.
So you can build your levels that way. 2,
I want to stop you there because you're gonna go off to another thing too. So what if like are they gonna have to start selling gamepads separately now?
Let me finish. See, this is why you let me run the company and you just sit there as my yes man. No,
okay, I'll just read it.
No. So that's one. So so that's number one. Okay, I would make it so that way if you have a gamepad, you can sync it up and go. Just like they said to us, like, hey, you know them Wiimotes that are hanging around, you can sync them up and it works.
So do you do it for that too? Do you bring the Wii remotes?
I wouldn't mess with that stuff. I wouldn't mess with motion controls. But it's potential. It's a potential you could do later if you decide you want to bring in games like Galaxy and all that. And
we'll talk about it when we launch the NX.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah.
Cool. I like it.
The second thing that I would make it compatible is I would make it compatible with my 3DS.
Yes, there you go.
So I can build levels with my 3DS. Mm-hmm. And lastly, the third thing would be that you can make it compatible with your smartphones or your tablets.
Yeah, that seems like the no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer. You listen, you're working with DNA now. You build a Mario Maker app where people can build levels wherever they are. Because then it takes that game to another level.
Oh my God.
Then when you're on the run and you're on the go and you're out to dinner with your family or whatever, and you don't want to listen to your dad in your ear talking about your Batman statues that you didn't buy and you're being Nintendo stuff, you can pull out your smartphone and you can start building a Mario Maker level or whatever. If you're just waiting for dinner or you're just waiting, whatever. If you're at the doctor's office,
my God,
whatever it may be.
I'm already thinking of like the micro purchases or the microtransactions you could have with that, and I wouldn't even care. You could sell me like this pack of items to use in my Mario Maker.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, that would be incredible.
So essentially, I feel like that there's ways around the gamepad.
Or if the NX is truly a hybrid console. So if it is like that part that you do have that handheld. Okay, so we had to sort of answer a whole bunch of questions to get to do we bring these games forward in one way or another, either through backwards compatibility or through a new version. I think the true answer is a new version. And only because you want to make sure that you have something brand new for people to spend their money on. You can put a bundle on it. Like you were talking, like you said, these are some of the best games of the generation.
Yes.
And so I would have to look at the numbers, but I'm sure that the Last of Us Remastered PS4 bundle was one of the best ones, probably up until Battlefront came out, or maybe Batman. Totally recognizable. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that game was incredible. That's something that you totally do. And yeah, if you have the input, that's my only thing is the input mechanism for these games that really demand, because I think that people might kind of jump over that fact. They go, well, what do you need the gamepad for? Just maybe you have the same game, but you just use the controller. But there's still references in the game to the gamepad that wouldn't make any sense.
This is what I do. I go, we're going to give you digital downloads.
Yep.
You pick, here's 4 games. You pick 2 that you want. Go. And here's your 4 games to choose from: Smash, Splatoon, Mario Maker, Zelda U. Well, I don't know.
Everybody buys the system?
I might pull Zelda U out of that mix. I might make it them 3. So you get those.
Definitely.
You can pick 2 out of those 3 games, or just 1 out of those 3 games, whatever. And you go in and you go, okay, here you go. You could pick 1 game, 2 games, whatever it may be, whatever Nintendo puts the value on it. And those games are digital downloads, and you download them day 1, go with it. And I feel like that helps sell the console, because if you're telling people that they can get Smash, or they can get Splatoon, or they can get,
You've just made the Smash people very happy, by the way.
Well, of course.
we haven't said Smash yet. They're like, Smash, bring it forward.
But I'm just going off of the leaks. So far that they've been said. That's the 4 games that were brought up that we're going to convert over. I feel like that's the answer. Ultimately, and I feel like, okay, I don't think that the Wii U is going to, I don't think that the NX is going to be backwards compatible to the Wii U.
Sure.
I think they're getting rid of discs. I think they're moving away from discs because they don't want to pay Sony no more. The only answer to do would be to go to Blu-rays my heart of hearts thinks that they don't want to get into that because that was the whole reason why they balked for so long into going into CDs was because they didn't want to pay Sony, rights for CDs. That's why with the GameCube with them little mini discs or whatever. I feel like the same thing. I feel like they just want to get away from giving their competition money. I don't see them going with Blu-rays over. Now, people today were telling me, I think Ben Frisk in the NBC group was saying that like the SD cards that people were also saying are more expensive to produce than the Blu-ray discs.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Something just keeps...
No, they totally are.
Yeah. Something keeps just harping and telling me that like they're not going to go with the discs. I just don't know what it is. Because here's a couple things that Nintendo has never liked is one, they've never liked load times, and they've never liked paying people for stuff that they don't have control over. Mm-hmm. So they've never liked paying for discs. That's why they always liked the cartridges. That's why they went with the cartridges in the Nintendo 64 against the screams and the shouts of Squaresoft. And they still did it anyway. And they lost one of their biggest third parties at the time because they just did not want to go to discs. I feel that's where they're at. I think they want to get away from the discs. And that's just my gut. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. But even like I don't know the research and I don't know the math, but like even like a 3DS cartridge, that can't be that expensive to produce.
Yeah, but if they own the whole production of it, it's not really a concern. I don't know the accounting on that whole thing.
Yeah.
But like I think that Nintendo is such a traditional as much as I think that we're actually going to see some progress with this new console. Anybody who's paid attention to me for a little while, I actually did predict about maybe a year and a half ago that this would be a discless console, that we wouldn't have any media associated with it. And you mentioned load times. And the unfortunate thing that we're seeing at least with the Xbox One, with the PlayStation 4, is that even whether you buy it digitally or if you're playing off the disc, the load times are identical. We're not seeing an improvement if you're reading off of a hard drive or anything like that, where you think you should.
Well, because at the end of the day, you're loading the entire games on the consoles anyway.
That's just it. We're no longer reading right off of the disc.
So I don't understand. And that was the thing. Like, my understanding was that like the reason why you download down is because it's going to eliminate load times, but that's only load times for the world. So like when I'm playing Batman Arkham Knight and I'm driving the Batmobile, I never have to wait for anything to load up. That's all wonderful. But when Batman dies, I'm sitting on a 30 to 40 second load time before I can get back in to start doing my battle again.
So I think I think that we shouldn't expect the NX to be built in a way that if it were digital only, that load times would be better there. Everything that we're seeing so far is that they'll be really easy to port from one system to the NX. So we'll get the same game. It's not going to have any performance. I don't think any performance enhancements in that way.
The one thing I'll say, though, is that's where old Nintendo excelled. Was where you thought...
I agree.
Where you thought, like, this can never happen. This can never be done. And then they go, hey, check this out. We're doing this. I'm not saying they are in this situation. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that, like, if they've been on record to saying that they're against something, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're trying to find a way to get around that and get away. I mean, you think about it, like the 3DS. Now, I know you're talking huge power levels differences between the two.
Sure.
Like, the 3DS doesn't have load times. Everything's pretty much like, boom, go. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, in the back of my mind, I feel like Nintendo wants to try to get back to a cartridge-based system somehow, some way.
Yeah, or flash memory in some way, which is I think where the SD cards come in. That you see a lot fast. Well, but maybe I don't know. It depends on how the whole thing works. But oh man, we're now like we're
in a different way. But okay, so in theory,
I want to go back to right before you say that. You said old Nintendo, and that's my whole thing. Like I don't know if Nintendo can be the one to bring in a no-disc console because they're a toy company. They're tangible things. They're about holding these things. And when we talk about Nintendo, we talk about Nintendo Power. We talk about our collection of cartridges And so I just don't know if we learn that this is actually going to be a discless, a digital only console, that I think speaks more than just that piece of the console. This is a new Nintendo in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is getting people excited. I don't know that anybody's really that pumped about buying only digital. I think it's more about what it symbolizes. Yeah. And I also, the last thing that I'll say on this thing too, is that I don't know if Nintendo is going to be the one. They're going to rely on GameStop to be selling their consoles.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Well, you sell digital games. They've been doing that now. So you sell digital games, and the easiest way to do that is go, hey, if you buy this game, you get this exclusive outfit or something like that, which would make people still go buy. But
yeah,
I think the problem if you go 100% digital right now, a lot of people don't trust it. Not everybody is like. I mean, it took me a while to get on to almost 100% digital, and I'm about to go back to 100% digital. I was for a very long time, and that was because they enticed me with the Digital Deluxe program. I was getting games cheaper. I mean, ultimately, if they say to you, like, hey, you can get games cheaper, $10 cheaper, I don't care who you are, you're going digital.
Again, not Nintendo.
No,
they're not going to lower the price. Their games.
They're not going to lower the price.
How big is the hard drive on the external hard drive you got on your Wii U?
I got a 2 terabyte.
See there, and that's the other part too. Is we're now moving from a company who just gave us a 32 gigabyte console.
Yeah, my thing is like, I look at it like this. I go, all right, you gave me a 32 gigabyte console, but I could hook an external hard drive onto it, as opposed to Sony.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
A 500 gigabyte console, which is the equivalent of a 32 gigabyte with the game sizes that are coming out right now. So people could stop that nonsense. And I can't put an external on it. I have to actually go open the thing up and install, which I did, and I put a 2 terabyte on that as well. Aside, so my thing is this. Let's get back on topic here. So my thing is this: is that
it's my fault.
It is your fault. It's your topic. It's your topic. You let it go crazy. So my thing is this: is we don't believe, neither of us, if I'm not mistaken, if what I'm understanding is we don't believe this console will be backwards compatible.
Right, yes.
So for me, then I feel like if that's the case, if it's not backwards compatible, you have to do an HD remaster or whatever you want to call it.
I'm back and forth on this backwards compatibility thing because Virtual Console is such a huge part of it and it has huge potential for Nintendo. So I don't know if it's only backwards compatible in the way of disc putting in the drive, I guess is maybe what we're. Well, but how do you separate those two?
Okay,
going right back off topic. Sorry, man.
No. Let's break it down here. Okay, so when I say that it's not backwards compatible, my understanding of that definition means you don't have a disc that you load into. Like right now, I could take a Wii console, I could take a Wii game, throw it in my Wii U, and it plays.
Yeah.
I could take a GameCube game, drop it into my Wii, and it plays. That to me is true backwards compatibility.
Sure.
What Sony's doing, what Xbox is doing is backwards compatible as well. But I just don't see Nintendo offering that day one.
Yeah.
I think it will come down the line, but they're just not going to be ready to give that day one. They should if they can. But when I say it's not backwards compatible, I'm just saying
just the disc going in.
Just the discs. Like that type of end. You're not going to be able to drop a disc in and play an old Wii U game. Because ultimately to do that, you almost have to have 2 consoles in your console.
Sure.
And I feel like they want to get away from that.
So when you're looking at Virtual Console games, you're looking at a NX specific digital download for that rather than because I would love to see them work out something in their eShop where if you own one version, you own the next version then as well. Some sort of cross-buy like Sony has done would go such a long way. I cannot buy Super Mario 3 for the 17th time on this next Virtual Console. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. And this is we got like a million different topics going on.
We got like 6 shows here.
I get what you're saying. But that doesn't bother me. Like,
sure.
The way I look at it is like the best example that was said by Colin Moriarty not too long ago. And it's like, hey, how many times have you bought Star Wars? Like, you bought it on Betamax, you bought it on VHS, you bought it on Laserdisc, you bought it on DVD.
I know. I don't want to derail us by breaking out that. I don't agree. I'll just say I don't agree with that argument.
But what I'm saying is like, ultimately, you had to rebuy it over and over and over and over again. It's just part of the deal. Now, we'll get into another topic because we're going to get into a show where we deal with the virtual console.
Sure.
Just stay on where we're at, okay?
I like it. Okay.
Because we have so many shows we can do.
This one was my fault. This one was my fault.
No, we have a lot of shows that I have in the pipes that I have written down, and we're good to go. We'll discuss this after the show. But I feel like, ultimately, I guess you could, man. Now you have me thinking in those terms of like backwards compatibility, where it's like a Sony or an Xbox, where if you have a game and maybe you just type in a serial number and then boom, it becomes backwards compatible. Because what do you have to do to make a game backwards compatible? You have to actually put the game in the Xbox One, and then
for physical copies, and then you always have to have, so it'll download a digital version of the game, but you always have to have the disc in because that's your license. But if you have it digitally, it knows it recognizes that you have that on your account, and it'll just appear on a screen that says you can download this at any time. Like, it's magical.
So then, but Sony hasn't done that yet, right?
No, because they want you to subscribe to PS Now.
Oh, yeah.
They have, like, they took the totally different, and so Nintendo's somewhere in the middle, actually, where you have the option to buy something on Virtual Console, or you can, if you have it, you can put it in. So that seems to kind of satisfy quite a bit of people. But
so you know what? Okay, we're sitting here and we're trying to figure out, and we're going about this the wrong way.
Okay.
The show is if we ran Nintendo. So right now, I don't care what they've done in the past. This is what I do.
Yep.
If it's me, I go, we're not going to be backwards compatible with this. We can't afford to put two processors in this thing. It is what it is. Done. You can't at that point go, if you've bought the game digital, we'll transfer that over, because then you'll piss off a good portion of the people, because they're going to go, what about me? I got the disc. The only thing you could do maybe is offer digital download. But I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm not offering backwards compatibility with this console, regardless whether it upsets the 11 million people that bought my console.
That's the answer. And that's why we go ahead and make that decision, because how many people are you really upsetting? Not that many people. And you offer like a slightly enhanced version, maybe a better graphics or better whatever, and you just resell it.
And maybe what you say is this. You go, hey, you know what? If you were loyal to us and you bought Splatoon on the Wii U,
that'd be really nice.
We're going to give you $10 off.
Yep.
If you have the digital version on your Wii U, we already know, because everything now is pretty much getting tied into your Nintendo ID. Mm-hmm. So, boom, I can look it up. Bobby Pauls, he bought Splatoon on his Wii U. Done. You get a $10 discount. Go. You have a disc. Okay. You're going to have to register it with your Wii U. Sorry, that's how because we don't have a disc drive on this new one. That's just how we're going.
God.
Load it in. And then once you load that disc in, you go into the eShop or something that pulls, just to have proof that you have it. And
I think you make it even more simple than that. I think you bring back the ambassador program that we had with the 3DS. Mm-hmm. We thank everybody for being on board right from day one, or right up until the last dying breath of the Wii U. And you say, you know what? If you have a Nintendo Network ID that played any Wii U game, you get something. You get $10 towards one of these 4 select games that we're bringing forward.
Yes.
That's my solution, is you make it as simple as possible. You thank as many people that even had a chance to play the Wii U when it was relevant. And you invite people in. That's how you make people feel welcome into this new console, without saying, you know what, how long was the Wii U out for? It'll be 4 years in November. 2012. I mean, not the longest console cycle. So you say, yep, we'll make it easy. You don't have to worry about registering games. If you had your Nintendo Network ID, and now here's your voucher, whatever that works out to.
You know what, I like that. I like that. You go, if you had a Wii U, you'll get $10 discount on these 3 titles right from day one. Or if you buy an NX, you can have one of the games for free.
Totally.
And what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade the Wii U games. We're going to make them better graphics. If you're getting Splatoon, Well, guess what? Now we're going to throw 5 new weapons at you, 3 new maps.
Mm-hmm.
That way it makes that version a little bit better. On the Wii U, you know what? You're just going to stick to the Wii U? Fine. This stuff's DLC. You can buy it. This way there's no parody. There's nobody getting mad or anything like that. And then with the Mario Maker, real simple. You guys want a couple of different items. Here's some more DLC content that is going to be free. Here you go. Smash. I would do 3 DLC characters for Smash with maps and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest thing to do is, honestly...
You know who you'd put in there? Well, totally put you on the spot. Who's missing?
That's Shovel Knight.
Good one.
Shovel Knight has to be in there. That's number 1.
Yeah.
I would probably go to...
I'm just looking over your shoulder, and why not? Let's throw the Thwomp in there.
Yeah, I would go Star. I would probably go Star Wolf, because I know he was one that people wanted, and I would probably do something crazy like a Geno. But honestly, the way that I would handle that is I would go. You had Japan, United States, you had England. Take the top vote getters from them 3 countries. Throw them in, regardless of how crazy they are. If it's a Sony character, go try to make them deals work, and try to get them characters in the game, and then
go get Barrett next to Cloud.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way I handle it. And I look at it and I go, in the future now, any games that we bring over that are going to be upgraded versions, because I feel like Mario Kart 8, you might want to bring over. If you bring that over, same thing. You get a $10 discount. Boom. Done.
Yep.
And I think that's the way you handle backwards compatibility. You give anybody that owned a Wii U, like you said, the ambassador program, you give anybody that owned a Wii U a $10 discount on all Wii U games that you bring over to your virtual console. And that's just the best way to handle it. It's
great because in Canada, $10 is like $60 here. So I mean, whatever.
You know what? You're a real piece of work. So,
love you too, buddy.
We covered all your topics, right? All your stuff.
That's my stuff. That's my thing. I was really hung up on the gamepad, but I think the gamepad is such a small issue in the big picture. I'm glad it is, because I want these things. Like, I don't want it to sound like I don't want these things over. It's a bad idea. This is, I think, crucial to a good foundation. What other console could have, even if they're old games, what other console has a lineup like this with like an average Metacritic score of 94, 92 or something like that?
Crazy.
I mean, oh my gosh, that would just be, it's better than Zombie U as a launch title.
Absolutely. And I think that, like, and to answer people's ideas, and let's just understand this. This is not all you're getting. This is cream on the this is your icing on the cake, man. This is just something so people that are new adopters to the Nintendo, ecosystem that left us after the Wii. This is just an enticement to bring them back. Sure. Oh, you missed these games? Guess what? Here they are. Mm-hmm. And then for you guys that are all into this stuff, like, here's a reason to upgrade. Because when you walk in day one, you're going to get these games at a discounted price, better versions of those games that you loved. And by the way, here's some new games as well. Because I feel like I feel like we're going to give them a lot of good games from the shoot. I think that this is going to be probably one of the most stacked launch windows in a while.
I mean, I don't want to start no console war or anything like that. But to me, I mean, you have, if this console is on par with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then you throw Nintendo exclusives on it, I mean, assuming that all the third parties are going to do the exact same thing with Nintendo as they have been doing with Xbox and PlayStation. Like, I mean, what if Square finds a new home back at Nintendo? Like, what if they rekindle that? And assuming, I guess, well, Square's got a lot of work to do on their own end, so maybe that's not the best example. But if they have some sort of evangelist ambassador or like crazy developer who's just in love with the NX and has some real push behind it, I'm just hopeful for the NX. I really think that this thing has got some potential. And to me, I mean, I don't know that I can have 3 consoles and be equally committed to all three. For me in my life, it's always been sort of between PlayStation and Xbox, and then the Wii when the exclusives come out.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of shitty to say on this show, especially. Yeah. But there's just not enough for me. But I'm hopeful that they can have. I want Nintendo to be my go-to console. I want the NX to be the one that I turn on every time, and that I only look to my PS4 for like The Last of Us or the Uncharted or things like that.
And I think that this is where, this is what we want. And I think that's where people got to understand, like, these things that we're talking about this isn't stuff that we think that Nintendo's going to do. None of this stuff that's going on. And that's where we have to, and I think that's where we got a little hung up on the second topic. People are going to understand we're still learning what we're going to do here and all that stuff. But I think the idea here moving forward is we need to go as if we are doing this. This is exactly what we would do. This is how we're going to handle it. And we want to see if people agree with us or disagree. And that's what it's all about. Like, I'm not saying that all these answers that we just gave tonight are the answers or the be-all end-all. They're not. Mm-hmm. They're probably not at all.
But the best part is the way that we sort of explore what is the decision-making around it, right? Like, because you can't just say, this is what's going to happen, and that's it. I think the magic here, I think, is really just us going, well, what about this? Have you thought about this? And have you considered this? If we're going to make this decision and move forward with this, you got to think about all the angles. And I think we do that, like, from a realistic standpoint.
Yeah. And I think that, like, if you disagree, I just want to say this. If you're right now or during any of this, if you were sitting there screaming at your phone or your computer or however you watch this, if you watch this on YouTube or iTunes or SoundCloud or whatever, leave a comment for us and tell us.
Yeah.
Why do you think we want this to be community driven? We want the community to be involved, and we will wholeheartedly the beginning, because my idea is this: we're going to have our two topics. But to lead into the next show, I want to read off some stuff that people said to us, and just like we did this week where we gave the shout outs at the beginning of the show, every week I want to go in and go, hey, you know what? Last week, this guy said this, and this guy said this, and this one disagreed with us, or this one agreed with us. We're going to read that stuff off.
I'm only going to pick out the ones that agree with me. So if you guys want to go ahead and send me the comments where you think that I'm 100% correct, best way to do that, probably tweet Sean Capri, Sean like Hunter, Capri like the pants. I am totally open to all of your agree.
I will read everything that's against Sean. So send all those comments to me. No, I think that's the way to go with this. And it's honestly, that's, it's a good way to keep the community involved, because I'm not trying to come off like I have all the answers here, because I don't, and I don't, maybe you have an idea, just like Sean, like as we're going through the thing, Sean hit on something different. I was like, you know what? That's perfect. I like that. I like that ambassador program idea. And that's the way we go with it.
Free idea, Reggie. You can take that one to the bank.
Yeah, exactly. You can take that one. That's good.
Or Bill, whoever.
So before we wrap it up, is there anything you want to plug or talk about with your other stuff that you're doing before we wrap it up?
I think I'm just going to end probably every show by saying that I'm sad it's over. I look forward to this since we recorded episode 0. So I think that this is pretty much the best thing on the internet. I hope everybody watching or listening does as well. But yeah, other things that I'm doing, I'm a writer at WeTheNerdy.com. I also host a podcast, a one-on-one podcast, which is where Bobby and I met, where I just get to know strangers on the internet. We kind of just find out where we connected with video games coming up. And really, it's if you want to hear people talk about some real talk, and realize maybe the role that their parents played in them coming into games, I've had quite a few moments. I'll cut this off right away. I've had quite a few moments where people say to me, I've never told anybody this before. That's We the Gamercast. And it's this is tied now for the favorite thing that I do on a week-to-week basis.
Good. Myself, you can check me out on YouTube. Nintendo Guru is a new channel I started. I've been doing, I did 7 videos this week. Every day I had a new video going up. I'm trying to do at least 5 videos a week if I can. But I have so much going on right now with the YouTube channel. It's up and running 110%. It's full force, banging out. And they're not long videos. They're anywhere from 2 to 6 minutes long. They're just real quick things that I'm thinking about, different topics I'm thinking about. So please.
6 minutes, you show off.
Yeah. I know. Please, dude, I was going 16, 20 minutes on my other videos, and I was like, who wants to hear you talk for that long, dude? Like, shut it down. So more or less, like, check that out. I I have the Geekcast that you can listen to on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, also on YouTube under the Geek Guru channel. I get the Ink Strike podcast, which the video version is here on the Nintendo Guru channel. The audio version is on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. And something new that I'm waiting for approval, but once it goes through, Sean, we got it. Google Play. We are going to be on Google Play with this podcast. I just applied the other day, so I'm just waiting for approvals to go through. And then
don't tell them I'm part of the podcast. They won't let it.
They already asked, and I said, no. I don't know. Sean who? Sean Connery?
It's a different Sean Capri.
It's different.
Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for listening. You can follow me, Instagram, Twitter, at Nintendo Gurus. Sean, you can follow you on Twitter at Sean Capri. Are you on Instagram or no?
No, I don't know.
You gotta step that up.
I don't think so.
Step up your IG game.
If you guys want me to be on Instagram, you got to tweet it. I gotta hear something.
I want you on there because I try to tag you and stuff all the time. I'm like, is that him? Is that him? Is that him? And look at the picture. I'm like, no, that's not him. Whatever. It don't matter. So that's it. I enjoyed this. This was fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it as well.
Can we record the next episode right now?
We can. Well, let's shut it down.
Okay. Yeah. Restart.
Peace out, Cub Scout.
Hey, see you later.